Yes, it is. Okay.
Hi. Hey, Ricky. How are you today?
Hey, good. How are you, Kaylee?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me for session 2 of our July Empowerment Series, which we're so
Whoop,
excited
whoop.
about. So today we're just going to be talking about 3 ways to avoid digestive stress. Ricky is a massage therapist from Sarasota, Florida, and I'll let her take over and just kind of introduce herself for a second.
So my name is, as Kaylee said, Ricky. I go by Erica for my license. I am a massage therapist here in Sarasota, Florida. I just graduated. I'm very, very fresh. And what this means is that I am very, very fresh with all of my information regarding the body and anatomy. So that's very exciting. Um, this has been something that I've been praying for the last however many years, probably 5 or 6 years, and I'm just so excited to be in this space where I can actually help teach and help show you guys, the beauty of the body and kind of how all of the intricacies work. So that's really me in a nutshell. I just like to learn and I like to help facilitate learning for other people. So here we are.
I love it. And I know Ricky from Sarasota, Florida, where I used to live. And we have continued our friendship the past couple years now that I haven't been out of Florida, which I'm so grateful for. And my name is Kaylee, and I am the owner of Ingredients Por Vida, and I'm a health coach and chef. So I help people navigate their way through their health journey and offer a different level of support, which a lot of people need these days. I didn't get a lot of support on my health journey, therefore, that's why I think that it's essential that everyone has a good level of support.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, let's get into it a little bit. 3 ways to avoid digestive stress. So it could be bloating, diarrhea, constipation, cramping. Have you ever experienced it? And what's the root of the problem? If you find yourself searching for an answer, we want to offer you the right level of support on your journey. And we'll be offering some evidence-based information that will make your day-to-day more manageable and stress-free in all areas of your life. So I'm going to hand it over to Ricky, and actually, I'm not going to hand it over to Ricky. I'm going to hand it over to us. And this is just a little outline of what we will be talking about. So I'm going to hand it over to Ricky in a second. She's just going to be explaining the nervous system for us. And she's going to bring on the first tip of the day. And then she's going to hand it over to me. And I'm going to be talking about how this all relates to health coaching and how I'm able to talk to my clients about it in a way that makes sense for all of us, and offering tip number 2. And then we're going to be talking about the chemical changes that happen in the body and when we're experiencing stress, when we're relaxed, and talking about the organs as well. And then we'll be finishing up with tip 3. So Ricky, are you ready?
I am so ready. Are you ready, Kaylee?
I think I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right, let's do this.
All
Let's
right,
talk about the nervous system. Now, this part of our body system is so fascinating because literally without this particular system, we really wouldn't exist. This is the ruler of all rulers for us. So in the simplest of terms, the nervous system is the boss of our body, but it also helps us to regulate or relate to the external world. The nervous system is a network of nerves that send signals throughout the body, as well as receives signals from outlying nerves in their body. So the very simple but main function of this nervous system is homeostasis. Now, what does that mean? Homeostasis is the body constantly trying to find and maintain balance within itself, regardless of what's happening outside of the body externally. Anytime we're out of balance due to external or internal factors, we lose our homeostasis. And that's when the body starts trying to compensate. So just to give you a little bit of information about how the nervous system works, it's a system of chemical and electricity. Excuse me, I'm very nervous, but I'm very excited. The nervous system uses electricity and chemicals to talk to the rest of the body, as well as gather information about the external world. So anytime you touch something, you see something, you smell something, the nervous system is being brought into play. But there are 2 different types of body systems within the nervous system, and that is the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So the central goes from the top of our head at our brain, goes to our brainstem, and goes all the way down our spine, which is called the cauda equina, because it looks like a horse's tail with all the nerves coming out. And so the peripheral nervous system is everything that goes kind of outward. So all of our extremities, our arms, our legs, that would be considered the peripheral nervous system. Some parts of the nervous system are on autopilot. That means we don't really think about it. So anytime you take a breath, you're just normally breathing. You're not saying, oh, I have to breathe right now. Your body's doing it. Anytime you blink, you're not thinking, oh, I have to blink right now. No, your body does that naturally. This also happens with a lot of the different processes inside the body, which includes digestion. And so in this, we have two different systems that our bodies are constantly at, or could be at. We have the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. So for the sympathetic is our fight and flight. So anytime we have any perceived danger or stress, we automatically go into it. And what happens when this is activated is certain functions within us stop, so that way our blood and our attention can be focused onto the external problem. So for example, I think you gave a really good example of the sympathetic system working together. If we're eating a sandwich and then all of a sudden we see a bear, our main priority is not going to be digesting the sandwich we just ate. It's going to be running away from the bear. So to kind of show the difference between that and the parasympathetic nervous system, we have the rest and digest. So anytime we eat and we're fine and we're full and we're just hanging out, that's the parasympathetic nervous system. Anytime you're digesting, parasympathetic nervous system. So you can kind of see how the two kind of work together in tandem, but how important it is that we have both, the parasympathetic for digestion and then the sympathetic to help us kind of stave off any, danger that might happen. So then Kaylee, I think you're up next.
Yes, well, we have tip number 1.
Ooh.
And Ricky made some good points about why this is so important yesterday when we were talking. I said, as a massage therapist, what would you say is the most important thing for easy digestion? And
the most important thing?
Yes, what is it?
Drink water, everybody. Stay hydrated.
Yes, and it is so important. And Ricky, she works with a lot of people, from day to day. And I think this is our number 1 tip for a reason.
It is.
And so do you deal with people a lot of the time who don't even know how much water they're drinking?
So the most important thing, after doing anything, whether it's physical labor, whether it's getting a massage, is that we lose our water, and we have to constantly take it back in, because guess what? We're made up of something like 50 or 60% of water. So it would make sense that we constantly need that influx of hydration inside of us, because not only is it helping us maintain our own water levels inside of us, but it's also helping facilitate a whole lot of different other things. So the biggest tip I have for anybody, whether it's somebody on the table, whether it's somebody off the table, is stay hydrated. Most people don't realize that they're extremely dehydrated, especially living in Florida, especially living out in Albuquerque. We're put in these weather situations where we're either constantly sweating or we're constantly moving, which produces sweat, which means we're losing water. So we have to stay hydrated. And that just helps all of the other body systems kind of function really well.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So if you're wondering how much water you should drink per day, I would say take your body weight, divide it by half, and that's how many ounces you should be drinking. But also take into account your activity level throughout the day. If you've been doing way more activity than normal, make sure to drink a little extra water and keep track. Find a favorite water bottle, carry around a gallon. It doesn't really matter how you do it, just do it.
I mean, we all have our ways of carrying around our water bottles. And I think it's so much fun being able to have your own personality, so own it, own your water journey, whether it's finding, a fun water bottle and a holder, or you just have a gallon and you're saying, I'm going to crush that gallon of water today. Like, own your journey. That's the most important thing in all of this, is just owning your choices and your decisions. And that's going to really empower you to grow.
to grow. And so I know I shouldn't be using single-use water bottles, but hey, I'm going to approach the situation with curiosity and no judgment, because I don't have time this morning. So here we are.
Exactly. As long as you're doing the thing, that's what's important. And then it's always a process of refinement later on. You learn, you take what you do today and you take it into tomorrow as an opportunity for growth.
Exactly. Every day we're just doing the best that we can at this moment, trying to get better. So the nervous system and how it relates to health coaching. The nervous system has a lot to do with what we do with health coaching, because we're trying to constantly bring awareness around our body. Are we feeling stressed out? Are we cramping up after we eat? Are we losing stamina at 2 p.m.? So there's so many factors that play into this, but if we do want to start with one, we could talk about the nervous system. So as Ricky said, the parasympathetic is known as the rest and digest, or the feel and heal response. And this is the optimal state for digestion and healing. When the parasympathetic is activated, metabolic power increases. And that means when we are relaxed, we actually burn more fat. So if you are somebody who's on not so much medical diagnosis journey, but maybe self-improvement journey, and you've been thinking about excess weight around your body, around your tummy, cortisol does have a main contribution to that. We will get into that in just a little bit when we talk about chemicals and organs. But the sympathetic is also known as the fight or flight, which Ricky was saying, our stress response. When we're stressed out, guess what happens to digestion? It shuts down. And like Ricky said, we were talking about examples, and that classic textbooks example is if a lion was chasing you after lunch, you wouldn't be concerned with digesting your sandwich. The sympathetic nervous system would act effectively to shut down digestion and direct blood flow away from the belly out towards your arms and your legs for quick moving, because you want to survive. All right. So this is a brilliant mechanism in place for our survival. While most of us do not have to confront lions on our lunch break, we do encounter stressful situations. So whether that's, a traffic jam, a fight, whatever it is, our nervous system is processing it as we're experiencing. So on a psychological level, our body doesn't differentiate between a lion chasing you and your boss yelling at you or getting in a tense traffic jam, like I just said. One is life-threatening, the other is not. But guess what? On the psychological level, they are the same. They both trigger the body to shut off digestion and store fat. And we're not so, concerned with the whole storing fat, but we are concerned with slowing down not slowing down, but bringing awareness around our body when we're eating. So this decreases our metabolic power if we do have this system activated. But when our sympathetic is activated, which is all day for most of us, even at a chronic low level, our parasympathetic is shut off. These do not go on at the same time. So if one is on, the other is off. And if we don't learn how to relax, we won't be able to tap into our natural mechanism for keeping an ideal weight and a stress-free life. So when we're talking about digestion, we want to direct the blood flow to our stomach. So there's a way that we can do this easily, and it's free, and you can do it anytime you eat. You can use it as a stop, drop, and roll, even if you're not eating and you're just stressed out. So that brings us to tip number 2, which is conscious breathing. And we call this an exercise of the 5-5-7. So we breathe in for 5 seconds. We would hold it for 5 seconds. And then we would blow it all out for 7 seconds. And if we do this 10 times, it roughly takes about 2 minutes. So you can do this anywhere and direct blood flow to your stomach for easy digestion. And, if you are feeling stressed out, you're like, all right, I just need to relax. Relax isn't about non-doing. It's about who you are being when you're doing things. Who are you being when you're eating? Who are you being when you're stressed out? So we're bringing this awareness back to ourselves and incorporating these small tips to make things easier in all areas of our life, digestion, stress, all of it.
And I really agree about relaxing isn't about not doing. You know, when we think about relaxing, we think about, you know, people in Sarasota on Siesta Key Beach with their little fruity drink in front of the ocean, just, you know, kind of hanging out. But that's not necessarily what true relaxation is. True relaxation is being able to, like Kaylee said, tap into the parasympathetic. And sometimes that looks like, in my case, sometimes it looks like driving and singing and like letting out all of that excess, you know, stress and steam, and then getting to my destination and being like, I can breathe again. So relaxation has so many different ways that we can look at it. And it's really important not to kind of put yourself into a pigeonhole that everything has to be quiet, everything has to be sterile. You know, I have to go into a deep meditation right now for 40 minutes before I can feel relaxed. No, when we do these smaller exercises, we're actually helping facilitate our parasympathetic, you know, nervous system. And in time, we're going to be able to get access that easier since we'll have those tools. So it's so important, and this is such a good tip. I love it. I absolutely love it.
And I like that example because I used to think that the only way I could relax was signing up for a yoga class or maybe going to acupuncture or doing whatever it was, which are very relaxing things that I enjoy to do. But incorporating that awareness throughout any area of your life, you can slow it down a little bit, and then be in a relaxed state so you can take everything on. So getting on to the next phase, we're going to be talking about the chemicals and organs that are affected while talking about the nervous system. So I'm going to redirect it over to Ricky again.
So anytime we talk about the body shifting from the parasympathetic to sympathetic, we're undergoing physiological and chemical changes. The digestive system is supremely affected by this. And prolonged exposure to the sympathetic body system can actually cause the digestive system to stop working effectively. How does that look like? We've all had stress at some points in our lives, but what we may fail to realize is that when we become truly stressed out and flustered, we're entering into the parasympathetic nervous body system. Like Kaylee was saying, we can't tell the difference that, you know, there's a lion that's about to eat us versus our boss, you know, chewing us out because we didn't get, you know, a foreman at the proper time. There's no difference. It's causing us stress. It's about our natural response. And so when we're living in this response, if you're constantly feeling like that, your body's chemicals can't necessarily achieve that nice homeostatic balance that I was talking about earlier. And so what that does after so many hours, days, weeks, months, years, is that our body will start to just live in this parasympathetic nervous system, which can really damage our bodies. You know, it affects every single organ. Stress affects every single organ. So while you might think, oh, it's just, you know, going to affect my stomach because it's not going to be digestion. No, that's not it. It's going to affect your heart because your heart is going to be working overtime because you need more oxygen to get to all the areas of your body because you're just so tight and you're tense and you can't breathe. You know, it's going to affect your pancreas, your gallbladder. It's going to raise your heart rate, and then the chemical reactions that happen in the brain are going to release more chemicals that are going to put you into a stressful, you know, frame of mind, like adrenaline and noradrenaline. And that's not healthy. That's not how we're supposed to live. There needs to be that balance, like we've been talking about.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, bringing awareness to the nervous system in general and breaking it down, it makes sense, you know, on some type of level to everyone. Right? Okay, that makes sense. I've experienced that. And so just offering this knowledge from different standpoints, I think empowers us to be able to take charge of stressful situations and the way we eat and our digestion and put it in our hands, because it really is in our hands. But it's not just in our hands. It's also nice to have a support system along the way. And I mean, even having Ricky as a support system in session 2, I mean, I feel so much lighter being able to talk to Ricky, like, wow, we're doing the Zoom thing. So we're all in stressful situations all the time. It's just, who are we being when we're stressed? So that kind of brings us back to tip number 3. So I'm going to need Ricky's assistance with tip number 3.
Okay.
Ricky, do you have a piece of food nearby?
I actually do. Right before we were jumping online, I was having some very nice fresh cut cantaloupe, my favorite snack to eat in between meals.
That sounds good. I'm gonna have to pick up some of that. I don't know where to get it out here, but so if you would be willing,
I am.
to take a piece and put it in your mouth and chew it. And you may be wondering why I'm asking you to do this, but tip number 3, chew each bite 30 times. And this may seem excessive, but it is not excessive at all. We might as well just cut a hole in our tummies and start putting food in there if we don't want to chew on things. And it's just so crucial, so crucial. So, Ricky, what percent of people do you think, or not what percent of people, but how many times do you think a person on average chews a bite of food?
Oh my gosh, it has to probably be somewhere between like 5 and 10 times. At least in my experience, I love food. Like I love loving food. So I'd like to inhale it. Like,
yes, me too.
So
how many times someone actually chews, a bite of food is 3. And it may be because we're just not bringing awareness around who we're being when we're eating, what we're doing when we're eating, how long are we taking when we eat. It's recommended that we do take 20 minutes to eat every meal. So if we do incorporate these first 3 steps and then even dig deeper into, a 20-minute meal and experimenting, between animal-based and plant-based protein. I mean, there's so many levels that we can dig deeper into to talk about avoiding digestion for you, because avoiding digestion isn't just some simple handbook that we all read and then we just start to be able, we start feeling better. That's not the way it works. But these 3 simple steps anybody can do at any time to decrease stress and decrease digestive stress, because it all goes hand in hand.
It does. And what I want to point out about this tip, this is so important. So when we're talking about digestion, we have 2 different types of digestion that our food goes through. We have chemical and then we have mechanical. And mechanical is the first thing that we do. It's the mastication of food. And that's really important because it travels down our esophagus and it enters into our stomach through a little valve, right? So if we have really, really well chewed food 30 times and, it's in a nice rhythm, the little valve will be able to open up and the bolus, that's what it's called after we masticate our food. The bolus will be able to travel inside the stomach a lot easier. Whereas if you're like me and you sometimes like to chew your food 2 times because it's so good and you want more, it's going to cause a backup, and that's going to cause a lot of digestive interruption, because it's not going to fit in that hole very easily, and it's going to take a lot more time. And that's just going to cause a chain reaction in the rest of your digestive system, where it's going to take a lot longer for you to digest, and it's going to be a little bit more uncomfortable because it has to go through that much stronger of a digestive process. So even just from the pure anatomical, physiological standpoint, this tip is so important to us in terms of eating properly and treating our bodies right, and having the awareness that this one small action will help with, the rest of our the body with the rest of the day. That way we'll be able to digest things a lot easier, and it'll be peace of mind for our body and peace of mind for, kind of who we are.
Exactly. So I'm so happy that we were able to spend some time together today, Ricky, and just kind of break down a few tips that anybody can use at any time that are free. And I think it is so important that you and I are having this conversation, because I'd like this conversation to continue. and it be a good anchor for people to be able to come back to if they don't have a strong support system at the time, because we all deserve a strong support system. So feel
Absolutely.
free to reach out to us.
Yeah.
We want to talk to you. That's why we're doing all of this. We want to meet people. We want to connect with people. And hopefully we will be able to create a nice community where we can talk about our health journeys, talk about tips for everyone, and make health information accessible to everybody at a speed or understanding that we can all get on board with.
So that way we can all be on the same page.
Exactly. That's what I like. So next week we will be doing another episode, July 20th at 6 p.m. I will have Drea Clark jump on with me too, and she is a health coach. So I'm so excited to talk to you guys next week as well. So thank you guys for joining.
And thank you for having me. It has been such a pleasure to be able to, dive back into these textbooks and like show what I know, because I just love learning.
Exactly. There's always something more to learn, which is really awesome.
There is.
Cool. So I will talk to you later, Ricky. And it's been so nice talking with everyone else.
Yes.
Right.
We'll see you soon.
Good. Let's see. How do I stop recording?